he was in front of a jury, he would be convicted in 30 minutes.
So we've been told we need to clear right back from the area because apparently the explosion is going to be pretty large.
This is a made-up piece of junk.
Ces mesures fiscales, elles ne s'appliqueront pas avant d'être débattues par toutes les parties prenantes.
France's prime minister has announced a 6-month suspension of a planned environmental tax on gasoline and diesel fuel. It's a major U-turn. A week ago, the president, Emmanuel Macron, said countrywide protests wouldn't scare him out of proceeding with the tax, which is designed to push the country toward renewable energy. A top House Democrat says his party may refuse to seat North Carolina Republican Mark Harris when the new Congress convenes in January, until investigators resolve whether an operative working on Harris's behalf hired people to collect voters' absentee ballots and keep them from being counted. A second person has come forward to say that she was paid as part of the scheme, that she saw stacks of ballots on the operative's desk, and that he was clearly pushing for Harris to win the seat, but she didn't think it was illegal.
Were you told to tell people about certain candidates?
Well, if he said kind of boost them whenever you're talking to people.
Michael Avenatti, who was not going to win the presidency, has finally announced that he's not going to run either. No one had heard of Avenatti before he started representing Stormy Daniels. Afterward, no one could get him off their TV. Avenatti said his family convinced him not to run. The word God is for me nothing but the expression and product of human weaknesses. Those are the words of Albert Einstein, written in a letter that today sold at auction for $2.89 million. Einstein sent the so-called God letter in 1954 to a German philosopher who'd written a book promoting religious devotion.
نطلع من الموصل طبعا لازم نشغل شويه موسيقى شويه ترتاح يعني تكون اعصابك يعني شاده اعصابك نوم وياك جقاير والطريق مرات يعني 5 ساعات ونص ساعات.
Asaf Ahmed is a cash courier working one of the most dangerous routes in the world. He drives the highway from Baghdad to Mosul through Iraq's lawless central desert almost every day, ferrying thousands of dollars in his souped-up Chrysler, a car he's given an affectionate nickname.
هذا وجه هاي يسميه اوباما هنا بالعراق.
It doesn't look like Obama.
اي اوباما.
You keep it under here. كم فلوس؟
بالسيارة موجود 5 ملايين. بس ما اقدر اشوفك اياه الا اشوفه للتاجر.
Mosul may have been liberated, but ISIS is still active in Iraq. To move money around, businessmen have to rely on guys like Ahmed.
طبعا الحكومة ما تثق بعد لأن وضع الموصل مو تمام، ما يدزون هذيك المبالغ هاي، لأن مصارف بعد ما انفتحت وما يثقون يعني هاليد، لأن شوية ما شغل داعش شوية خطرة صارت.
Do you know people who've been robbed on the road?
قبل 20 يوم ولد سايق من الموصل جاء ولد أخذ خصوص لبغداد والولد انفقد. قبل يومين راحوا أهله جابوه. الولد جابوه مقطع، عيون ما عنده، كليات ماكو، ايديه مقطعه، رجليه مقطعه، ما بيكو شيء.
Why do you do it?
يعني مو عندنا غير باب رزق، لو عندنا غير باب رزق كان رحنا. مضطرين على هاي الشغله نشتغل يعني. يعني نروح ونجي يعني بخاطرين بارواحنا. من تشيل فلوس مال العالم؟ فلوس من تروح مال العالم؟ انت تأديها من جيبك. السلام عليكم. شلونك حبيبي؟ اخبارك؟ بإيدي يم التاجر اسلم الفلوس وبعدين التاجر يحسبها واطلع انا منه وانت والتاجر تنجاز.
Today, the merchant who needs cash is Lazim Hamid, who owns a steel depot on what's known as Industry Street. Medium-sized businesses like Hamid's are vital to the city's reconstruction. It's where Mosul's residents come to get the raw materials they need to rebuild.
الكل خوان واصدقاء، الكل ساعدناهم، اللي ما عنده مساعده، اللي عنده نقص، اللي يريد يشتري، واحد قام يساعد الاخ الان الكل فتحت. احنا تقريبا فتحنا وكان هناك معارك بالمنطقه القديمه، بس احنا ما درنا بال، بقينا من اجل المدينه، وفعلا عندنا المدينه، وفعلا عندنا المنطقه الصناعيه الى كامل عملها يعني.
While it may not actually be at full capacity, customers are still coming. Yunus Rajab is buying supplies for a small ironwork store that he runs in the old city.
هذا 500 شبو سعر. يا مرحبا بك. يا ألف هلا بك.
Rajab has owned this store for 40 years. Before ISIS captured Mosul, he used to make windows and doors, earning him nearly $100 a day. Now, he's lucky to get that in a week, reduced to making clothing racks.
ايش نعمل؟ هذا مجبورين على الحياة، ما بالثاني. كله هذا اللي متسوق مجبور على الحياة. شغل يعني استاذ من انا بتسوق، شوف هذا الشغل مكوم، ما حد يقول له من انت. كله بيوت.
طيارة؟
ايه طيارة، كله ما طيارة وقصر.
أمريكي؟
ايه بيشب بوم شب بوم. هاون شب بوم. وانا من رجعتهم ناس تعجبوا. قالوا شو انت ترجع هنا؟ رجعت لين ما عندي ايجار بيت ما عندي. لوت ماني ماكو. دينت من الناس وجيت بنيت بيتي وقعدت.
Rajab's house was the first in the neighborhood to be rebuilt, and it literally stands out for miles around.
So why is it this color?
هذا اللون منطقة البيئة موتى من جميع أنحاء مدينة الموصل. هذا يبين وردة وطالع بين المدينة اللي موجودة عندنا.
The project took 7 months and cost about $7,000. But with much of the old city still in ruins and a string of recent bombings, Rajab thinks others won't follow his lead.
What about the security situation now? How are you guys feeling?
لازم يصير هنا وهناك بس القانون مسيطر. كل قلق ما عندي. والله أنا أنام 7 نومة بالليل.
The government too is keen to downplay ISIS activity, blaming a string of recent bombings which killed and injured dozens in Mosul on political elements rather than terrorists. And yet, on the outskirts of the city, Iraqi security forces are still very much in an active fight against ISIS militants.
حاليا نوب غير هذا. نضرب هذا، يضرب ذاك، يضرب الله. يلا باشر. يلا. سيد انا اتخذ اوامر من عندك. يلا. سيدي راح يبدا التفجير.
So we've been told we need to clear right back from the area because apparently the explosion is going to be pretty large. And they're telling us there are 3 ISIS fighters still alive in the tunnel.
يلا.
There's been a recent uptick in coalition activity too. These are American Apaches. The Iraqi security forces still rely on their support. Rajab's son didn't share his dad's enthusiasm for coming back and rebuilding. He's haunted by memories of friends that were killed in the neighborhood, and he thinks ISIS is still a threat. This generation was the group's main target for recruitment. He says the longer it takes to get Mosul back on its feet, the easier it'll be for extremists to lure the city's young people away.
ما تنتهي العصابات الإرهابية ما راح تنتهي بالعراق والسبب أن الحكومة ما عاد توفر ما يلتزم مستلزمات المواطن لكي يعيش عيشة. إذا نحن هسه سنتين صار لنا على التحرير وهاي الوضعية أشوفها بالمنطقة كل شيء ما تغير وحددوا ميزانية العراق 2019 1% الموصل 1%.
So how easy is it for the young people here to take that path and rejoin these groups?
فالإنسان هسه من عاد خلص كلية قدامه شغلتين طريقين، يا أما يهاجر خارج العراق يا أما راح يظل هنا ويشتغل ويتعب ويشوف ماكو فايدة. فايش راح ينتمي؟ راح ينتمي لعصابات، راح ينتمي جماعات إرهابية. فهذا إذا دولة ما ترعانه هذا إيش راح يعيش؟ صار مثل زومبي، الموتى الأحياء.
A small group of senators finally heard from CIA Director Gina Haspel today about her agency's view of who is responsible for the murder of Washington Post columnist Jamal Khashoggi. They went in believing Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman was to blame. They came out even more convinced.
If he was in front of a jury, he would be convicted in 30 minutes, guilty.
Some senators were even ready to hand down a sentence.
What I want to do is make a statement about the complicity of the Crown Prince that I think is supported overwhelmingly by the evidence. Then I want sanctions imposed, global Magnitsky Act sanctions against those responsible.
Senators had expected Haspel to brief them last week. Instead, they got what felt like a dose of Trump administration spin.
There is no direct reporting connecting the Crown Prince to the order to murder Jamal Khashoggi. That's all I can say in an unclassified setting.
The administration's troubling response, together with Haspel's absence, pushed senators to voice their objection in the form they're used to, a bill. It calls on the U.S. to stop supporting Saudi Arabia's assault on Yemen. Now, questions about what the U.S. is even doing in Yemen aren't new. The Obama administration backed the Saudi-led coalition in 2015, sending billions in arms, even after the scope of the humanitarian crisis became clear. Yet for years, senators who objected got nowhere. Just this March, the Senate couldn't muster the votes to even bring the bill to a debate. Then, in October, Khashoggi walked into the Saudi consulate in Turkey and never walked out. Trump's response to Saudi Arabia's actions reminded us, once again, that human rights just aren't his top concern.
The fact is, they've been a very strong ally. They create tremendous wealth. They create really tremendous number of jobs in their purchases. And very importantly, they keep the oil price down.
That helped push Delaware Senator Chris Coons and other senators to change their minds and use the resolution to send a message.
I'm out of patience.
The vote last week on the resolution to limit military action in Yemen on behalf of Saudi Arabia, was that basically just a presidential rebuke?
Yes. It was a strong bipartisan vote to send a clear signal to President Trump, to Saudi Arabia, to everybody who's watching how the United States is going to respond to the abduction, torture, and murder of an American resident journalist, Jamal Khashoggi, that we're not satisfied as a Senate. Every now and then, the executive branch sort of pushes and pushes and pushes and tries to ignore congressional opinion, and the Senate stands up and acts like the Senate. This was one of those moments.
Coons and his colleagues expect another vote to begin debate on the resolution within the next week. Now, it's unlikely the measure could get through Congress before the end of the term, and even if it did, the president has already threatened to veto it. However it all plays out, today's briefing and the Senate response makes one thing clear. The murder of Jamal Khashoggi has accomplished something his columns couldn't seem to quite do: force the Senate and the country to grapple with the realities of cozying up to certain authoritarian leaders.
Officials in Butte County now say that the Camp Fire, the deadliest and most destructive in California history, killed 85 people. 11 are still missing. In Paradise, the fire burned 8 of the town's 9 schools. including the Achieve Charter School, which had just opened its doors in August. This week, students went back to class in a makeshift school that's been set up at a church called the Living Hope Fellowship.
I wanted to get some pictures left, and so I ran in and I ripped all of these off my wall, and these are all the pictures I got from my house before it burnt. This is home for now.
Do you want a jacket? Sweater? Nothing? Okay, let's go. If you're ready. Are you nervous?
I don't know.
I'm nervous.
Why?
I don't know.
Going to school.
I know, but you know me, I cry at everything.
The day that the fire happened, I'm driving over flames. There's cars on fire. And so I tell the kids to go close your eyes. I didn't want them to see what we're driving through. Because to be honest, I didn't think I was going to make it. It was the worst thing in my life. We did lose our house. The gym at the high school, I hear is standing but burnt. It's just the metal walls or whatever you want to call it.
Welcome back. Welcome back, Trailblazers. What a crazy way to blaze a new trail. Here's what I need you to know before you go to class. You tell people what you need if you even know.
Where is the e-learning?
You know what I was really mad about? My mom wouldn't let me go home.
But that's safety before belongings,
No,
always.
we actually went home, but we went home and we literally only have 5 minutes. Well, I did because I couldn't breathe in the car. So all like the people, like all my neighbors,
I was so worried about
were
you.
like, right as I got in the car from school, I broke down. I couldn't breathe. I was like gasping.
I'm a newer teacher, but I don't know anything that like this has ever happened, where a whole town's been destroyed and all the schools have to be relocated. And right now the focus is getting our kids together and having them hang out and play and laugh and be with their teachers. And we are doing coloring and we are doing knitting and art and reading and journaling and basketball and anything that kind of gets them out of, you know, their minds a little bit to just like relax.
Our schedule is usually kind of busy. Like we'd be doing like work and then just moving on to our next class. I'm in English and we're gonna be reading Animal Farm and coloring, but we kind of get to chill with our friends and like, you know, have fun instead of just working all day long. I'm not excited about leaving school because I have to say bye to my friends. Bye guys, love you. Text me.
I've been looking at art for 40 years, and this is a made-up piece of junk. The second I saw Salvator Mundi in the flesh, I knew it was dead. In his entire life, Leonardo never painted anybody dead on, with their chest directly at this way. Let's look at what he made so you can learn what I saw when I saw this wish list for money and fame and an important painting. Shall we? Here's a painting painted around the same time. It's St. John the Baptist pointing up to say, I'm going to heaven. Isn't he beautiful? But look at him. His head is going this way. It's turning around. His side is facing you. So that, painted at the same time as the other thing, would make no sense, especially again with Michelangelo in town and the competition really hot. Madonna of the Bloody Rocks. Look at this thing, turned around, twisted, you know, it just goes on. Look at the complicated structure of how the thing is posed, the solidity of it, where the hands are, how everything is turned. Never anything as simple as, I will stand like this. I will be an old school portrait. Even she is turned slightly. Once you've done this, like, oh, I think I'll discover a little thing in the background of a portrait called landscape. And the possibilities are endless from there. A number, not many, but a small number of important curators and art historians validated it as a Leonardo. People have fetishized the ringlets of hair. Look at those ringlets. They're good ringlets. Who could not love those ringlets? Even I accept that when Leonardo had students or assistants in his studio, he might get in there and go, you big dope. That's not how you do hair. Let me show you hair. It is possible that like right there, or right there, you know, right there, that Leonardo went and then went to the student. But let's just say Leonardo touched the painting. Fine. Now, $400+ million later in the Middle East, when the painting is exhibited, many are saying it should not have the label Leonardo da Vinci. Instead, it should be Studio of Leonardo. This is in the Louvre, Paris. So now the Louvre, Abu Dhabi evidently needed one of these, the male Mona Lisa. Real in drag, not great art. There, okay? Maybe it's better, I don't know. Or maybe what really needs to happen is you take it down and you get a real painting. Wait, the slide is in backwards. I want to go home.